Chicago Bears fans are not dreaming anymore. This team already gave the NFC a warning, and now the warning looks louder. Ben Johnson has Caleb Williams walking into year 2 with a real plan around him. Not excuses, not panic, not empty hope. The offense has more help. The defense has more speed. The roster has more answers. And the scary part is simple. Ryan Poles did not build this like a team trying to survive. He built it like a team tired of being doubted. Look at what is sitting around Caleb Williams now. Rome Odunze is ready for a bigger role. Luther Burden III gives this offense a dangerous inside weapon. Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet can attack the middle of the field. Then Logan Jones, Sam Roush, and Xavier Thomas enter the picture. And suddenly Ben Johnson has more ways to protect his quarterback, stretch the field, and keep defenses guessing. That is where this gets different. The Chicago Bears are not leaning on one star to save the whole thing. They are stacking pieces around the most important player on the roster. But the offense is only half of what makes this feel dangerous. Dennis Allen now has a defense getting faster, deeper, and harder to read. Dylan Thieneman brings range. Kobe Bryant brings a new piece to the back end. Devin Bush adds speed in the middle. Malik Muhammad, Keyshawn Elliott, and Jordan Van Den Berg give this team fresh bodies with real upside. One of them was grabbed late, but the buzz around him does not sound normal. That is the name nobody should ignore. Because before we even get to that hidden defensive swing, the first thing Chicago did was make sure Caleb Williams finally had the kind of offense Bears quarterbacks almost never get. Caleb Williams is not walking into this season with empty promises around him. That is what makes this version of the Chicago Bears feel different. For years, Bears quarterbacks were asked to carry heavy problems with light support. Now Ben Johnson has a real group around his quarterback, and the pressure has changed. Caleb Williams does not have to win every snap by himself. He has answers before the ball is even snapped. Start with the people around him. Rome Odunze gives him size outside. Luther Burden III gives him quick damage from the slot. Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet give him 2 tight ends who can work the middle and punish small defenders. Then Chicago added rookie Logan Jones from Iowa in the 2nd round, rookie Sam Roush from Stanford in the 3rd round, and rookie Xavier Thomas from LSU in the 3rd round. That is not random drafting. That is a front office looking at its young quarterback and saying, "We are done making life harder than it has to be." The real twist is how many ways this offense can now attack. Logan Jones brings help to the interior. Sam Roush gives Ben Johnson another tight end body for heavier looks. Xavier Thomas brings speed, return value, and gadget danger. That means defenses cannot sit back and treat Chicago like a simple passing team anymore. They have to think about power, motion, quick throws, deep shots, and tight end pressure all at once. And once you understand why the Bears loaded up around Caleb Williams, the next question becomes even louder. Why did they spend their first big defensive swing on Dylan Thieneman? Dylan Thieneman was not a random first-round swing. He was the kind of pick that tells you how the Chicago Bears want this defense to feel: fast, calm, hard to fool. When Ryan Poles took him at pick 25, the message was clear. Dennis Allen needed a safety who could cover space, read the field, and clean up problems before they turned into disasters. That is a heavy job for a rookie, but this is why Chicago took him early. What makes Dylan Thieneman different is not just speed. Speed is easy to sell after the draft. The real value is control. He gives Dennis Allen more freedom to hide coverages, rotate late, and make quarterbacks hold the ball for one extra beat. That small pause is where pressure arrives. That small doubt is where mistakes happen. And when you already have Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, and Tyreek Stevenson waiting behind the pass rush, one smart safety can change the whole shape of the back end. Now the secondary has a new center point. Jalen Johnson can stay locked into his outside role. Kyler Gordon can keep working inside where he is dangerous. Tyreek Stevenson can bring his physical style near the line. And Dylan Thieneman gives the Bears a young safety with range, energy, and room to grow fast. But here's where the story gets bigger. Chicago did not stop with the first-round safety. They paid for another defensive back too, and once Kobe Bryant enters this picture, the whole plan starts looking a lot more serious. Kobe Bryant is the move that makes you stop and look at the Chicago Bears differently. This was not a small depth signing hiding in free agency. This was Ryan Poles putting real money into a defensive back who changes how Dennis Allen can call a game. Chicago already had young talent in the secondary, but this signing gave the group something else. Experience, flexibility, a player who has been in big moments and does not need the game slowed down for him. Now put Kobe Bryant next to Dylan Thieneman, and the picture starts to sharpen. Dylan Thieneman gives the Bears range and young energy. Kobe Bryant gives them polish and coverage feel. That matters because Dennis Allen wants defensive backs who can move around before the snap, hide the real coverage, and force quarterbacks to guess late. If the quarterback sees one look before the snap and a different one after it, the pass rush gets more time. That is where mistakes start. That is where turnovers appear. This also helps everyone around them. Jalen Johnson can stay aggressive outside. Kyler Gordon can keep attacking from the slot. Tyreek Stevenson can play with more confidence when the safeties behind him are not easy to read. That is why this signing feels bigger than one name. It gives the Chicago Bears a secondary with answers in every direction. But the back end was only one layer of the plan. Because right after fixing the safety room, Chicago went after speed in the middle. And Devin Bush is where that next piece begins. Devin Bush is not the loudest name in this Chicago Bears rebuild, but he might be one of the most important. The middle of this defense needed more speed, more bite, and more range. Ryan Poles did not wait for the problem to grow. He brought in Devin Bush on a real deal, then came back in the draft and added rookie Keyshawn Elliott. That tells you the plan was never about one player. It was about changing how fast this defense can close space. That matters for Dennis Allen. His defense needs linebackers who can run, hit, cover, and clean up when the front creates chaos. TJ Edwards gives the group control. Marco Jackson gives it another body with movement skills. Devin Bush gives it veteran speed. Then Keyshawn Elliott arrives from Arizona State with a chance to earn trust the hard way through special teams effort and physical football. That is how late picks survive. They do not wait for a role. They attack one. Now the Bears have a second level that feels less slow, less thin, and less predictable. The secondary got smarter with Dylan Thieneman and Kobe Bryant. The linebacker room got faster with Devin Bush and Keyshawn Elliott. But the whole thing only works if the big men up front start winning early. And that is where this story gets dangerous. Because Chicago made a late draft move for Jordan Van Den Berg that did not feel like a normal 6th round gamble. Jordan Van Den Berg is the kind of rookie who makes a late pick feel louder than it should. The Chicago Bears did not sit around and hope he fell into their lap. Ryan Poles moved up, gave away 2 7th rounders, and grabbed him at pick 213. That tells you something right away. Teams do not trade up late for a body. They trade up late when someone on the board still looks too good to let go. The reason is easy to see. Jordan Van Den Berg brings size, power, and rare movement for a defensive tackle. He came from South Africa, worked through Penn State, then found a bigger role at Georgia Tech. In his final college stop, he became more than an athlete with a great story. He became a real problem inside. The type of lineman who can push the pocket, fight through contact, and make running lanes close faster than they open. That is the kind of depth Dennis Allen needs if this defense wants to last through a long season. Now place him behind names like Gervon Dexter Sr., Grady Jarrett, Neville Gallimore, Kentavious Street, and James Lynch. And the pick starts making even more sense. Jordan Van Den Berg does not need to walk in and carry the line on day one. He needs to grow inside a rotation where his strength and movement can be used in short bursts. That is where late picks become problems for other teams. And if this 6th round move hits, the Bears draft class stops looking solid and starts looking dangerous. But the hidden work did not end there, because the bottom of this roster has more names trying to force their way into the plan. Ryan Poles did not treat the back end of the roster like leftover space. That is what smart teams do when they know the season will test every layer of depth. The stars get the attention, but the hidden names decide who survives injuries, who wins ugly games, and who keeps the weekly standard from falling apart. That is why Caden Barnett and Jaden Loving matter. They are not headline names yet, but they are the type of rookie additions who walk into camp with one clear mission: make the coaches uncomfortable when cutdown day arrives. Caden Barnett gives the Bears another big body in the offensive line room, and that matters because Caleb Williams cannot take the next jump if the protection plan cracks late in the year. He does not need to be crowned too early. That would be fake hype. His job is simpler and harder at the same time. Compete, learn fast, and prove he can handle grown man football when the pads come on. Then there's Jaden Loving, a defensive tackle from Wake Forest who adds more pressure to an already crowded front. When a room gets crowded, weak reps disappear fast. Then Xavion Thomas brings a different kind of threat. He is not just another name in the receiver room. He gives Ben Johnson a speed piece, a return option, and a player who can force defenses to think before the snap. That is how the Bears built this thing. Not with one giant splash, but with pressure from every angle. Caden Barnett pushes the line room. Jaden Loving pushes the defensive front. Xavion Thomas pushes the space game. And now the only question left is the biggest one of all. Did the rest of the NFC North do enough to keep up with Chicago? The Chicago Bears are not chasing the division anymore. They are sitting in the spot every rival wants. That changes the whole feeling around this team. Detroit still has firepower. Green Bay still has a strong core. Minnesota still has talent across the roster. Nobody in this division is weak, but Chicago is the team that already reached the top. Then came back and added more help around Caleb Williams, more range for Dennis Allen, and more depth for the long fight ahead. That is why this offseason matters so much. Ben Johnson has a quarterback who already knows the system better than he did last year. Ryan Poles gave the offense more ways to attack, then rebuilt the defense with speed and flexibility. Dylan Thieneman changes the safety room. Kobe Bryant gives the secondary another trusted piece. Devin Bush brings movement to the middle. Jordan Vandenberg brings upside to the front. When every layer gets touched in one offseason, that is not luck. That is a front office trying to make last season look like the beginning, not the peak. So here's the real question for the NFC North. What happens if Caleb Williams takes the jump everyone in Chicago is waiting for? What happens if Ben Johnson keeps finding answers before defenses adjust? What happens if Dennis Allen turns all these new pieces into a fast, physical unit by midseason? That is the part nobody can ignore. The Bears do not need to prove they belong anymore. Now they have to prove they can stay there. And if this roster clicks, the rest of the NFC might learn the hard way that Chicago did not build a one-year story. They built a warning.